Namaskar. Welcome to this series on Bhagavad Gita in daily life. Today we shall talk about being proactive in actions. What are the lessons that we can learn from Bhagavad Gita? So, what is being proactive? And this diagram or this graph or this photograph will summarize what is being proactive. It is almost opposite to that of being reactive. And we know what is being reactive because that is a very constant experience of our life in day-to-day life. Sometimes somebody tells us something and we just instantaneously respond to it without applying our mind, our thought. And this automatic reactions, which maybe sometimes be exaggerated, sometimes very high, it can be anger, it could be sometimes violence, it could be sometimes very low in the form of becoming depressed or getting hurt or being angry inside us. All these are reactive responses, and the opposite of this is what is being proactive. So responding to a situation, to some words, by some actions in a very proactive way, where we give some mind, thought, and responding in an appropriate manner, which we can call as a correct response, is probably what is being proactive. And this is what has been described by many people. Stephen Covey, in his famous book, The 7 Habits, the first habit is described as being proactive. So let us see what Bhagavad Gita tells us about being proactive. And only successful people, if you see the life of all successful people, they are highly proactive. May it be Mahatma Gandhi, could it be anybody? If you see the life of them, they are very proactive people. So Srimad Bhagavad Gita, if you want to summarize in a slide, the first adhyaya is the background where Arjuna, on seeing the opponent army, all his swajana, his own cousins, his guru, Dronacharya, his Pitama, his great-grandfather, Bhishma Pitama, and he becomes very sorrowful. He doesn't want to fight this war, and that is the background. And then in the second adhyaya, Shri Krishna tells Arjuna how to choose a correct response. What is that proactive approach? What is that correct response? By understanding how we should deal with this situation, which is a very difficult situation in the youth of Mahabharata in Kurukshetra. This was a great battle for righteousness. It was a Dharma Yuddha. And here Arjuna becomes very sorrowful. He becomes miserable. He doesn't want to fight this war. He's a great warrior, one of the greatest warriors of all times. And a person like him doesn't want to fight the war, wants to run away from the battlefield. So this is the situation which we also encounter in our day-to-day life, where we don't feel like doing something, we become very miserable, sorrowful, situations arise, and then we have to choose a correct response. So Shri Krishna first tells him the Jnana Updesha, what is that correct understanding, the divine knowledge, and then tells him that we need to do actions. That response, that activity, that right action is called Karma Yoga. And then finally, he describes the attributes of the wise person, a person who is committed to wisdom, how his conduct is, what is his response, how does that person respond in a situation. And then the 3rd to the 17th adhyaya is a more detailed description of all the things that Bhagavan Shri Krishna wants to let us know. And this is a message to humanity. It is irrespective of religion, irrespective of caste, creed, color, race. It is a universal, a timeless message to the mankind, how we should live our life. And finally, in the 18th adhyaya, Shri Krishna summarizes what all he has said, and that is a summary of the Bhagavad Gita. So in the 3rd adhyaya, which is also called Karma Yoga, Bhagavan describes all these attitudes, how we should respond to a situation, what will be our proactive or a correct response. So being proactive in response means, as we understand most commonly, is actions, because this is the most sthula, most obvious thing that we can see in our day-to-day life is our actions, our kriya, our activity. And we believe that doing the right action is being proactive. But the vision of Gita Ji is much beyond this. It says even in words, the way we speak also, Satyam Anudvegakaram Vakyam Priyam Cha Hitam Cha. In the 17th adhyaya, Bhagavan says how we should speak. What is that Vangmaya Tapa? What is that austerity or penance of our words? How we should speak? It should be Satya, it should not hurt somebody, it should be priya, it should be hitakari, it should be useful to the other person. That is how we should measure our words and speak. So a lot of this proactiveness in our speech is also a very important part of our life. Even in our expressions, our gestures, sometimes we are very reactive. The way we express ourselves, we need to be more proactive how we do it. And finally, the most subtle part is our thoughts. And this is very important because thoughts ultimately leads us to our words and our actions. And that's why this subtle dimension of ours, the thoughts which arise in our mind, which in our Shastra is called vrittis. So these vrittis, we should be aware of the vritti as they arise in our mind. What is the kind of vritti that arises? And that is very important, how we behave, how we respond in our world. So what is being proactive? Being proactive is to choose a correct response. And as we understand in the vision of the Bhagavad Gita and in the eyes of Lord Krishna, inaction or laziness is not the right approach. The first step is to get out from our inaction to our action. Akarma se karma. That's what he tells Arjuna. Tyaktotishta parantapa. Oh great man, you stand up, you fight this war. And he gives him several reasons and arguments in the second adhyaya why he should fight this war. What is the understanding? With what understanding we should fight this war? The second is our action should be based on our value system, our morals, based on our dharma. And dharma word in our Shastra, in Bhagavad Gita, does not mean religion. It means our values, our morals, righteousness, the right approach, the correct response that we should choose. That is called dharma karma. And it should be based on our duties, our roles and responsibilities that we get in our life. What is the duty? In the Vedic times, it was based on our Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmana, all the caste system. But today our duty is based on our profession, whatever work we are doing, that is our kartavya, that is our duty. We should base to our duty. And how we should do this duty? In a more of a selfless manner. It should not be just for our own selfish gains, but it should be for the betterment of the society at large. And this Nishkam Karma is a very important part or attitude of Karma Yoga. And what about the results? Because all the results, Karma Phala, Karmanya Vadhikaraste na Phaleshu Kadachana. Karma Phala is not in my hands, that is not in my department, that is not under my control. So I should have equanimity or balance in the Phala that I get. The results is something that I must have an equipoised response, and I should accept all the karma phala like a prasada buddhi, as it is an offering from the Lord. So this is the understanding that Gita tells us, that we should surrender to this universal divinity that is there. Ishwara Arpana Bhava, whatever has been given to me is through this, and I should try to soften my raga dvesha, Shithilikarana, which is a very important part of our daily living, and that only can help us to achieve the purity of the mind, which is the first goal for us, for the seeker, if we want to progress on the path. So, in the second adhyaya, after giving the eternal wisdom, the message of the divine knowledge, Shri Krishna tells Arjuna to be equipoised in all situations. He says, Sukha dukkhe same krutva. Have equanimity in pleasure and in pain. Most of the times in pleasure we get elated, in the pain we become very miserable. So all these ups and downs, emotional turmoil goes on in our life. But Bhagavan Shri Krishna tells us that we should remain equipoised in all these situations of life. Labha labha, in profit and loss. Jaya jaya, in success and failure, we should remain equanimous, and that is how we should fight this battle of life with this attitude. And then naivam papam apapsyasi, we will not get any sin, or there won't be any blemish on us, there won't be any wrong sanskaras that we can carry for our future. And this is where Shri Krishna sows the seeds of proactive response, how we should respond in our life by being equipoised, by being samatva, by balance in our approach. He also says that praises the path of yoga, karma yoga, the right action, and he says nothing goes on in vain on this path. Neha bikramana nosti. He says on the karma yoga path, whatever small actions you take, there is no waste of efforts, there are no opposite results. And even if you do some small little good thing, good deeds for others, nothing goes in vain. It will help you liberate from the great fear. And he says this is the right action, is and it is an indirect way of achieving the purity of mind. And that is essential for understanding this divine knowledge that Shri Krishna is talking about. And he also tells us to do all our actions with the right understanding, because God has given us this intellect, this buddhi. We should use this buddhi when we take decisions to perform right actions. And he says, "O Arjuna, on this path of action, there is only one Vyavasayatmika buddhi, one determined intellect, which is focused. And if somebody has this focused intellect, he will be able to take the right decision. But for those who do not have this kind of avyavasayinam buddhi, those who don't have this focused intellect, they have bahushakha yanantascha. So their notions are innumerable. They think a lot of options. They keep thinking options. They think, oh, I can do this. I can also do this. I may do this. I can do this. If I do this, I'll get this. And they keep thinking. They have lots of discriminations, bheda buddhi. They don't have a determined intellect. And that's what we need. What we need is a focused intellect towards our goal, so that we can go on that path and achieve our goal. So actions are essential for any success. Inaction is something that is deprecated just by renouncing our actions. Karma Tyaga, in the 3rd Adhyaya, in the beginning, Bhagavan tells us that Karma Tyaga does not achieve us the final goal. Neither Karma Sannyasa, renouncing life on just being without actions, that is also not going to help us achieve the final accomplishment of the final goal. So giving up of actions is not something that is advisable. We have to be in action, do the right action with the right understanding. Even later, Bhagavan tells us that without actions, no one can survive. Even for a moment, we cannot survive. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi. Not even for a moment, nobody can survive, because we are all avasya. We are all forced to perform actions because of the 3 gunas. Sarvai prakriti jayat gunaihi. So these 3 gunas, the sattva, rajasa and the tamasa, they force us. They are all within us in different proportions, and based on that, we do carry out our actions. Some people are more sattvika, some are more rajasika, some are more tamasika. Tamasika are the lazy, pramad, alas. Rajasika are more worldly natured. They want more of power, position, name, fame, money, wealth, and all the comforts. Whereas sattvika are more towards spiritually inclined. They are more in selfless service. They're more in good deeds. Those are the sattvic people. So we are all forced to do our actions based on these 3 gunas, interplay of these 3 gunas, which help us or force us to do these actions. And essentially, it is the inner raga dvesha which are the initiators for our actions. And only with the right attitude, the karma yoga attitude, with the karma yoga bhavana, we can nullify this raga dvesha. So what is the right attitudes? In the 3rd Adhyaya, Karma Yoga, Bhagavan describes the 4 attitudes. The first one, he says, is the attitude of duty. Niyatam kuru karmatvam. Whatever is prescribed to me, wherever I am, whatever is my duty, whatever are my roles, I should do it in the best possible way. And because Bhagavan says action is superior to inaction, we should not be lazy. And one who does not do any action, even the journey of life will not be fulfilled. Even for the basic necessities of life, eating, drinking, walking, sleeping, all these we need to do some actions. And that's why that is, so what do we mean by attitude of duty? That I should do whatever I am supposed to do it well, without having any burden on our mind, without having expectations from others. Do it with a lot of joy, with passion, with interest, with involvement, all the roles and responsibilities that I have in life. And we need to contribute something to this universal cycle that is going on. Bhagavan describes the Srushti Chakra in the 3rd Adhyaya in the Karma Yoga. It shows how evam pravartitam chakram nanu vartayati yaha. He says everybody should follow, contribute something to this Srushti Chakra. And whatever purpose whatever work I have been entrusted, there is a purpose behind this duty. We have to find that hidden purpose behind my duty. We should not look for purpose around beyond our life. It's all within, ingrained in our life, and all is given by the Lord. So obviously there has to be a purpose, and in this creation is so meticulous, everything has a purpose. And no work is inferior, no work is superior. Most of the times we think that this is a superior work, this is an inferior work, and we should do every work that is entrusted to us with a lot of humility, with being in the nimitta matra bhava, and not with a lot of pride, ego, that I'm doing it, I can do it, only I can do it, not with that kind of attitude. And we should do it with a lot of faith that whatever I'll do, I shall be rewarded appropriately. There is a very just system in this universe, the karma phala theory, which is designed by the Lord Himself, is a very just series. So whatever I do, I'll get the adequate rewards. Maybe I may not get it immediately, but in the future, sometimes maybe not in this life, in the next life, I'll get some of the other rewards. We should also do our actions without attachment, and that is what Shri Krishna tells us in several, in the third adhyaya, in the fourth adhyaya, in the fifth adhyaya. He says so many times, he tells us to do tasmat asakta satatam. We should do all our actions without being attached, asakta. We should not be attached. And karyam karma samachara. We should do all our kartavya karma, our duties in the best possible manner. Asakto yacharan karma. When a person does his actions without attachment, paramapnoti purusha, he attains the highest goal of life. Highest goal of life in the eyes of Shri Krishna is to achieve the eternity, the divinity, moksha, freedom, complete freedom from all our limitations. And that is only possible by purity of our mind, which we can develop by practicing karma yoga, the right action, the correct response. And with this, we can understand this divine knowledge and ultimately get freedom from all our limitations. So being proactive means acting without attachments. And karma is the nature of our self, our life. So we have to do karma. We don't have to give up karma. Similarly, karma tyaga is something which is never prescribed in our scriptures. It is only that it is advisable whenever the time is ripe. Just like a fruit, when it becomes ripe, it just falls off by itself. Similarly, karma, when it becomes matured by the practice of karma yoga and the right understanding, the karma will be on its own, it will be given up. There is no prescription that we should give up karma or take karma sannyasa. Similarly, karma phala is something that we have to give up. That is the tyaga, that is the let go, where we have to have towards the fruits or the results of the actions that we receive. Here is where we have to accept whatever comes to us with utmost grace and understanding. And kartrutva. Kartrutva means our pride, our ego, that I am the doer, that feeling, that is what we have to let go. So these two things we have to let go, karma phala and kartrutva. And what we need to perform is actions, karma. Karma tyaga nahi karna hai, karma phala tyaga karna hai, kartrutva ka tyaga karna hai. So we have to do our actions with the correct attitude, and this is being proactive. So Shri Krishna also tells us what is the path of this nishkam karma, how we can become selfless. We surrender all our actions. Bhagavan says to me, do your actions with a spiritual mind. And he says, this is the conclusion of the Karma Yoga Adhyaya, third Adhyaya, where he says, Nirashi Bhutva. Let go of all your asha, expectations from others, because these expectations of our karma phala, somebody telling me something, good things, these are all the things that gives us miseries, pain only. And that's why we should let go of these expectations. Nirmama, attachments also are the cause of pain and miseries. We should let go of our attachments. And dasva vigata chvara, we should do it without any raga dvesha, do all our duties. And it says we should be aware of our raga dvesha, strong likes and dislikes. This is a very important central theme of Bhagavad Gita, where Bhagavan tells us that in each of these indriyasya arthe, in all these objects of the sense organs, our five indriyas, the Shrotrendriya, Chakshulendriya, Jnanendriya, Tvagendriya, all these indriyas, they capture this from the objects, the five objects, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. So all these knowledge of the outside world we gather inside through these Jnanendriyas. And here lies the likes and dislikes. Here there is something that I like, something that I don't like. And these raga, dvesha, vyavastito, they are firmly rooted. The sanskaras of these raga, dvesha from many lives are firmly rooted. Bhagavan tells us, tayorna vasham agacche. Don't get under its influence. We should remain above this. That is what we should try to endeavor. Tavyasya paripanthina, he says, those likes and dislikes are the biggest obstacle, enemies on our path of progress. And that's why we should be aware about these raga dvesha. They act very subtly. We even don't know how we react, respond to situations, how based on these raga dvesha we immediately react to a situation rather than being proactive, understanding our raga dvesha and being proactive. We don't generally try to react in that situation. So raga dvesha are essentially attachments, aversions, and we say that this is my nature, this is how I behave, this is my nature, I can't change it. And through this raga dvesha, the strong likes and dislikes, we feel that it is a very natural response. I'm behaving in my own nature, this is my swabhava, but this is unawareness. In the eyes of Bhagavan Shri Krishna, when the sense organs interact with its object, these raga dvesha feelings, raga means having pleasure or having some joy or having, that's why, for example, in a cold winter, if we get some heater or a blanket, we feel better, we feel warm with some warm clothes. And this is something that we would like to do, we would like to pravritta or towards action, we will do it because it gives us more comfort, happiness, joy. Whereas dvesha means, suppose in a scorching heat, we go out on the road without any, then we will feel that scorching heat. We don't like it. That gives us dvesha, pain. And that's why we want to stay indoors. We don't want to go out in the heat. And that is what is the dvesha. We want to remain away from that. And these are all the raga dvesha which we have filled up from inside. And these raga dvesha could be for persons, objects, good food. It could be for any of the other things we have to be aware about. And how our response is determined based on raga dvesha. I do what I like to do and I don't do what I don't like to do. Instead of this, our scriptures tell us that we should respond based on our values, our morals, that is based on our dharma, adharma, what is the right thing to do, what is not the right thing to do, I should not do, I should do only what is the correct thing to do. So based on this, if we take decisions, that is called a proactive approach. So journey of progress in life is to soften this grip of raga, dvesha, strong likes and dislikes. And this can only happen with a lot of awareness, and it helps us to purify our mind. It needs a lot of awareness. Based on our awareness, we can put in efforts, because even efforts are important. Just awareness is not important. With awareness, we will know where we need to change, but then we need some efforts to put it into our life. Bhagavan tells us, Tayorna vashamagache, don't get under its spell. It's very important. We need to remember, because this is an area of my free will. This is not the area of my destiny. I need to work towards improving or reducing this raga dvesha. We should always keep our goals in our mind while we take decisions based on our value system, and we should think, use our intellect. And when desires or thoughts arise in our mind, we should not let it overpower us. It is better to see from all the aspects, a 360-degree view, to see both the sides of the coin, the short-term and the long-term benefits of the decision that we want to take. And that attitude of samagra buddhi, or it is called pratipaksha bhavana in our shastra, is all from seeing it from all around and seeing the long-term profit or gain or benefit from this. That is how we can take our decisions. And daily introspection is an effective tool. How our raga dvesha are, whenever we get upset or some problem, some kind of reactive approach, then we can introspect and come out of this. And Bhagavan also tells us that our actions are the best. We should not compare ourselves with others. Whatever I'm interested with, I should do it. Even if it is an imperfect duty, it is better than following anybody else's duty. A lot of time we feel that, oh, my friend who was with me, now he has become so, he has become so powerful, so, wealthy. And we tend to compare ourselves with others. But our duty is the best duty. Bhagavan says, Shreyan Swadharma Vigunaha. My duty is the best, even if it's imperfect. Swadharma Nidhanam Shreya. That is better than our duty. Paradharma Bhayavaha. To follow others' duties, to just copy somebody else blindly is dangerous. We should not follow others' duty. We should just focus on our own duty, what I need to do. Focus on my responsibilities, not just on my rights, what I should be given, but I should do something, what I need to do. That is where my focus should be. And Shri Krishna also tells us in the 4th Adhyaya that whatever we desire, whatever we reap, we sow. And he says, all the devotees who worship me, I bless them in the same way, and all the humans follow my path. And most of the people want material wealth, possessions, bhoga. Very few people want to attain the Lord, the divinity, to understand, and that is it's quite unlikely. But then he says, whoever is my devotees, I will bless them accordingly. Shri Krishna also tells us that inaction and laziness is tamasic happiness. In the 18th Adhyaya, when he's concluding all that he has said, he talks about all the 3 types of happiness, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, and he says that this sukha, which is initially and later, which confuses our mind, doesn't allow us to take the right decisions. Things like addictions and obtained from nidra, alasya, sleep, laziness, pramada. These are all the tamasic happiness. So we should not be in alas pramad. We should be in action, choosing the proactive or completely proactive actions. So changing our actions from karma to karma yoga, we should do our duties, though it is defective. All duties or all actions have an inherent defect. Sarvarambhahi doshena, Bhagavan says. Everything, say for example, a doctor who prescribes a medicine, there is a chance that he does it with a good intention, but there may be a side effect based on the person's allergic response to that medication. So there may be an inherent defect in any or all of the roles in the life of any profession, any people, that something adverse can happen by our duty, following our duty. But even in spite of that, Bhagavan tells us, just like a smoke engulfs a fire, similarly an inherent defect always is there in other duties. But we should not leave our duties, we should not give up our duties. Understanding is what is celebrated in our scriptures. So essentially, Bhagavad Gita talks about change management. We need to change. We need to master our mind. That is where the change needs to be done, because the mind is the one that controls the body and all its actions, thoughts, words, everything. And that's why the focus is on the development or mastering over our mind. We need to do this by understanding. First, we have to understand how our mind works. Then we can modulate our mind with this understanding. And we need to keep a very positive attitude with a faith, with discipline, with a lot of efforts. We can definitely change our mind. We can change our thoughts, our paradigms, our responses, our reactions. From reactive, we can become proactive. And being with positive people has a very great influence that helps us doing satsang, knowing the wise people. My progress and my change is my responsibility. That should be my understanding. With this understanding, I should progress in my life without any excuses. This is not my nature. I should not think that I cannot change. I must always have a positive attitude that I can change. I can be a better person. And our own efforts definitely will attract the grace from the universal eternal divinity, from the universe. And with this, it will help me. Bhagavan reminds us, don't get under the spell of these raga dvesha. So to summarize, being proactive is to choose the correct response towards our goal, which is based on our value system, our dharma, our morals, what is the right thing to do. It should remain intact. One of the attitude is to remain equanimous. It is difficult to practice in life, but with gradual understanding, we can definitely reduce our ups and downs of our life by being equanimous, being balanced, doing our duty in the best possible way, even if it is defective. There may be an inherent defect, but still it is the best. Swadharma nidaram shreya. Death is better than following others' duty. Bhagavan says we should follow, we should not compare or copy other people. And doing our duty with a lot of understanding, samajhdari, vyavasayatmika buddhi, 1.8 focused intellect is where we should do. And following our duty is the shreya, it will be beneficial. Raga dvesha are the main cause of all these reactive personalities that we have. And that is where they are our biggest obstacles, Bhagavan tells us. And this is where we need to work. We need to get over them by understanding, by awareness, by our constant efforts, discipline in our life, with understanding that what Bhagavad Gita is telling us, if we can put it in our life, Bhagavan says, don't get under its influence. We can overpower it, we can get over it, we can soften these raga dvesha, and then only we can develop the purity of the mind that Shri Krishna wants us to achieve. With this, we come to the end of the session. I pay my gratitude to the Almighty Lord, to the Guru Shishya Parampara, through which this knowledge is preserved. To my Guruji, I pay my respects, with whose grace I am able to learn the scriptures and share this understanding with you. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parah Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Shanti. Shanti, Shanti.